coming soon to this theater.
What is up, people? Yeah, can you tell I've really got this down? Anyway, what's going on, people? Welcome to CG Horror Movie Talk, the stream where, surprise, we talk about horror movies, right? Wait, Matt. Last I checked, this was called CG Horror Movie Club, because I keep changing the name, right? And
yeah, what's it called now? Horror Movie Talk?
No, well, that's what I just refer to it as, because it's a stream where we talk about horror movies. But maybe that will be the new title, because I've already gone through. What was it originally? I think it was like Brian's Monster Movie Funhouse or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We are very grateful to have you. Tonight, we are going to be talking NOSFERATU. We've got our man Narwhal in his house, and he is going to be hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. Okay, yeah. Let me make things a little easier on myself. And he's going to be talking about his new NOSFERATU comic, which looks very, very interesting and intriguing, to say the least. The movie we're talking about tonight is not the original F.W. Murnau NOSFERATU. It is the 1979 Werner Herzog remake.
Werner,
yeah. Most of you probably know Werner Herzog best from his appearance on The Mandalorian, where he played the Imperial who hires the Mandalorian to go out and either find or destroy Baby Yoda / the child / Grogu. You know, he has that great line where he says, it is more difficult to find the Mandalorian than it is to find the steel. And check this out. He's actually very likely the reason why we have Baby Yoda. Because Herzog is one of those guys. He alternates between doing fiction films, which is how he started, right? He made classic, and I do mean classic, absolute masterpieces like Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and Fitzcarraldo, these incredible movies. And he also does documentaries. And his voiceover on the documentaries kind of got him a reputation because he's so German and so precise and so depressed. He does not see any of the beauty in nature. To him, it is just cold and dark and indifferent to suffering.
That's a good impersonation.
Thanks. So Jon Favreau cast him in the movie. And I mean, in the Mandalorian. And while they were filming that, the studio was not sold on the idea of a practical effects character, right? They'd spent 2 years working on this puppet, which Herzog described as heartbreakingly beautiful at the premiere. And so Favreau had to do 2 takes for each scene involving the child, and one was like a CGI take, and one was with the puppet. And so he was going to remove the puppet for the CGI take, and Herzog said, "You are coward! Leave the puppet! Leave the puppet alone! Commit to your vision! F the studio! Don't give them a chance to ruin your vision!"
Oh,
and so,
that's funny. I see what you're saying. So then it can't really be changed. How exactly?
Exactly. And Herzog is one of those guys who is a real character, and most of his films, to be perfectly honest, are about obsession. of some kind, right? In Aguirre, it's the obsession to find El Dorado. In Fitzcarraldo, it's the obsession of the title character to have Caruso performing in the opera in the Amazon.
Didn't he do Rescue Dawn with Christian Bale?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that movie was awesome.
And that's actually, he also did a documentary based on the same story called Little Dieter Wants to Fly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he's somebody who came along in the 70s when German cinema was kind of being reborn.
Okay.
Because German cinema in the 1920s, a lot of people don't know this, but it really wasn't America so much that was at the forefront of filmmaking in the early 1920s, late 1910s. It was really Germany and Russia. And, you had some of these incredible movies like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which helped redefine the visual vocabulary of cinema. Because before that, if you look at really early movies, I mean, for one thing, the cameras were huge, right? So it's not like they could move these things around a lot, right? And most early motion pictures look like plays, right? It looks like somebody's doing a stage play and they're filming it.
Yeah.
And when Caligari came around, when NOSFERATU came around, these were game changers. Metropolis, all of these pictures, they were absolute game changers. And then, of course, World War II happened, and German cinema basically lay fallow for, 30 years? 30 plus years, I would say. Yeah. And not that the Germans weren't making movies, they were just making like these really stupid, horrible, like sex comedies.
Oots.
They were like these little ribald comedies, where they're all like, in the German Alps and, chasing each other around and who's doing who. And think of like an episode of like Three's Company in German, and you get the idea.
Bender 6.
Yes.
That's like the worst thing about the 60s. Like boil down the 60s into like the most annoying aspects. Is like Alps sex comedies, like a little bit of that James Bond kind of thing, but without the spy stuff.
The cool hideouts. maybe the cool hideouts, maybe.
Yeah,
it's like funky Ken Adams sets of volcanoes with the tops that open and everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, can
you
turn the your mic down just a little bit if you can? It's like,
am I too loud?
Yeah, it's like leveling up or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like
okay, let me see what I can do here, because I was in a meeting the other day and somebody was like, your mic's too low.
Oh, now it sounds pretty good the way where you're talking right now. Maybe that's all you need to do.
How about now?
Ooh, nice.
Do I sound deep and intense in German enough to you? Okay. Yeah. So thanks for the heads up, Norwell. There's one thing I don't want to do. It's annoy people. I don't want people tuning in to be annoyed. So the movie that we're taking a look at tonight, of course, is the Werner Herzog remake of NOSFERATU. Here at Horror Movie Club, we always try to pick a movie that is easily accessible. That's to say, you can stream it. It's not behind a paywall. So I'll usually provide a link in the description, and it's either this week it's to a Tubi version of the movie, and it has commercials, but it's uncut. And one of the really interesting things about this remake of NOSFERATU is that there's a German version and there's an English version, except they're actually different films.
Wow.
That's to say, 20th Century Fox wanted, once they heard that this was being made, they wanted to distribute it in America. So this was like the first German movie in God knows how long, 50 years plus, that had actually been marketed in the U.S. So they were like, we want an English version. And they were fine maybe with it. They weren't actually fine with it being dubbed because American audiences, they see, the words aren't matching the actor's lips, they tune out, right? I don't mind that because it's like I watch a lot of Italian movies and those are all dubbed.
I don't care. It's dubbed. I watch the eyes most of the time anyway.
Right. So what Herzog did was something very novel, very interesting. I don't know that it's been done since. He both Isabella Gianni and Klaus Kinski and Bruno Gans and the rest of the cast, most of them spoke English. So he would do a take in German and then he would do a take in English.
Like the Northman, that TV show on Netflix.
Oh, did they do that too?
Yeah, they're doing one in Norwegian and then one in English. So, but it's like the same shit,
Right.
It was hilarious.
I watched the first episode and I thought it was hysterical. So the English version is literally a different movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same because it's the same actors, the same dialogue, the same sets, everything, but yet it's different.
Wow.
And the version that's on Tubi is the English version. And I really can't say that I prefer one over the other, except that the German version makes you feel more like you're there.
I'm about to say there.
Right? Whereas something like Aguirre, the Wrath of God, which is about Spanish conquistadors, going down into Latin America to look for El Dorado, the conquistadors are speaking German. And it's something, I don't love that movie. It's a masterpiece, but there's always that moment where like really? Like, the conquistadors sprechen Deutsch? It's very peculiar. So, Matt, this was your first time seeing this film. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty cool. I'd seen NOSFERATU, the silent one. And then I went back and I rewatched it again after I watched this, just for fun. And now I want to go watch the German version. It was cool, man. It was all about building mood and immersive feels of being there. What I liked about the movie, because I like Dracula a lot, was that it built up the whole feeling of Jonathan Harker before he sets out on his quest to go see Count Dracula. So you kind of feel more about it, like from his perspective when he's with his lady in the beginning of the movie, and you don't really get that too much in the old one, or even in that many versions of Dracula or NOSFERATU. You don't really get that angle from Harker too much. It's always about Van Helsing or whatnot. So I liked that aspect of it. I liked the whole. I don't know. It was cool though, man. I liked it.
I was hoping that you would. We were originally going to do Last House on the Left, but after doing New York Ripper last week, I was like, Matt, I can't do that to my brother.
Well, I'd be down, but I'd be way more down for this. And
yeah.
I had seen Shadow the Vampire like a bunch, like back in the day. I love that fucking movie. Like so far, Defoe is my favorite NOSFERATU, hands down, and that's still my favorite one. Like I love that one, but. Well, the black and white one, it's it's where it started, but the silent one. But I don't know. I like Defoe, dude. I like the whole idea of Max Schreck going around feeding off people, and I don't know. But yeah,
it's worth mentioning Narwhal. Are you familiar with that legend about Max Schreck and the making of NOSFERATU?
I saw Shadow of the Vampire a long time ago, just once. I kind of barely remember it, other than I it was good. But that's what it's about, right? About.
Yes.
It's like meta. It's like the making of the movie, but he's still a vampire.
It's about F.W. Murnau being a filmmaker who cares so much about making an authentic vampire, he goes and finds an actual authentic vampire.
Yeah.
To play Count Orlok, who is, of course, really Count Dracula. And when Will Dafoe plays the vampire, this started because of a myth that surrounded the film, which was that Max Schreck was never seen without his makeup. And so maybe he was a real vampire, which is complete BS because there are pictures of him without his makeup. But still, why let the truth get in the way of an absolutely wonderful story like that.
And maybe in the movie too, because I think he was the stagecoach driver in the Black.
Yes,
I was watching, and it's supposed to be because Dracula's supposed to be driving the stagecoach.
exactly.
But the one by Werner, I don't think it was him doing it. It was a different actor.
No, and I actually found that a little bit disappointing. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But
Bram Stoker is my favorite movie of all time. That and Conan. And that's what I like about Bram Stoker is going back and rewatching some of these was Coppola put a lot of the Nosferatu stuff in there with the shadow and a lot of little things, and the original book too. It was really cool, that movie too.
Subspecies 2 is a movie that we also covered, and that has a lot of imagery from Nosferatu. It uses the shadows on the walls very, very effectively. The vampire in that, Radu, actually turns himself into a shadow and travels that way, which I thought was really nice. And of course, he has those long fingers with the scythe-like claws. Nosferatu may not have survived if it hadn't been for the efforts of people that deliberately went out of their way to preserve it, because Bram Stoker's widow was very pissed off when the original Nosferatu came out.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and she sued and she won.
Yeah.
And so the court ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed. So think about that. We might never have gotten Nosferatu if it hadn't been for some people squirreling away prints of the film. Destroying the film, that's BS. They should have given, if she wanted a cut of the profits, I think she would have been entitled to that, right? But it's because it's like Count Orlok, wink, wink, right? And this, of course, Dracula has been public domain forever, so he's just called Dracula in this remake. Dracula is the most adapted. No, I'm sorry. It's the second most adapted novel, from novel to stage to screen, of all time.
What's the first? The Bible?
No, it's Frankenstein.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It's a perennially a popular story and character. He ain't going nowhere.
Right.
He is with us, and always will be with us. And one time we were watching a movie by Jess Franco called Count Dracula, which is a more faithful than usual adaptation that has Christopher Lee in it, and in that he actually has the gray hair and the mustache.
And he's in here. Renfield, right?
I'm sorry, Renfield
that plays Nosferatu.
Yes.
In there.
Yes,
crazy actor too, right?
Yes, Klaus Kinski. Oh my God, what are we going to say about Klaus Kinski? Klaus Kinski was, how do I put this politely? Knucking futz. He had a reputation for on-set meltdowns that are the stuff of legend. Nowadays we'd be like, oh man, Klaus is off his meds or something. But back then there wasn't like bipolar. There was just crazy. And but yeah, you're right. Kinski is the only actor that I know of who actually has played Renfield and Dracula. And that's pretty interesting.
I kind of want to see his Renfield. I like him. I've seen some of his other movies. Well, from Werner Herzog, and then he's in a bunch of Italian westerns too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some of those, and he's good.
Oh my God! And God Said to Cain, For a Few Dollars More, A Bullet for the General. Yeah, man. Kinski was The Great Silence, which is one of the great Italian westerns.
Yep.
Probably the best one that's not made by Leone.
Yeah.
Kinski was a guy who was incredibly difficult. He was Mr. Intensity. I don't think that you've ever seen a more intense actor than him. And when he is on screen, he's absolutely riveting. You can't take your eyes off him.
Yeah.
Really, because you look at certain actors, at a certain point, they cease to be present, right? You look at somebody like Robert De Niro, for instance, right? That's a guy who's so comfortable in his talent that he's just like, I'll just phone it in and that'll be okay because I'm that great. And so you get these performances where you're just like, this, like, homeboy's not even really there.
Oh, yeah.
Kinski was always present. I encourage anybody that's curious about Kinski to watch a documentary that Herzog made about his relationship with Kinski, which is called Mein Liebster Fiend, My Best Fiend. And in that, you get to see some of his meltdowns, which were epic. Now, in this, Herzog actually used this to his advantage because Kinski wanted to play Dracula with more energy, right?
Yeah.
And that's not what Herzog wanted. He wanted a world-weary, death-yearning Dracula, you know, who's just going on just to go on.
That's what he looked like. He looked like he was suffering as he stared across the table at Jonathan Harker in the movie. It was a little bit different than Max Schreck, you know. He's sitting there, he's just like suffering, you know. And well, there's a scene in there when he obviously cuts his finger and he grabs that shit and sucks on it, and like he doesn't really do that in the Nosferatu movie, I don't think, from my understanding. No. And then he fucking throws a chair over real fast and he comes after him, and that was scary. And then again, Shrek didn't do that either. So, and I went back to rewatch to see that little scene, because that's one of my favorite scenes in the book and in movies, and with Keanu and Gary Oldman and all the movies, you know.
Yeah,
but
which is
right there in that scene was crazy.
Yeah, well, that of course, it's not in the original Nosferatu, but it is in the in Bram Stoker's novel.
Yeah.
What Herzog did in order to get the performance from Kinski that he wanted, and good directors will do this, they'll kind of get people to do things their way while convincing them that they're doing it their own way, right? And so what he would do was, he was like, okay, let me provoke Klaus into a shit fit. And so he would provoke him into a fit because he knew whenever the fit ended and they would resume shooting, that he would be exhausted. And so that's how he got this wonderful performance from Kinski. You've also got Isabella Gianni as Mina Harker. Isabella Gianni. Absolutely stunning, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. Great actress. She throws one of the best fits in movie history, and I'm talking like Nicolas Cage level fits, in a movie called Possession by a Polish director named Andrzej Zulawski. See if you can find that, everybody, but that's one that I definitely wouldn't recommend to a general audience. But yeah, oh my God, man, she's just gorgeous in this. She was also one of those women that like aged like great. Like, she did this movie called Queen Margot. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before.
No, I've never seen it.
It's a French movie from around 2000, and she had put on some weight, and it went to all the right places. Let me just put it that way. But yeah, okay, let's stop gushing over Isabella Gianni here. And I just wanted to take a real quick look at... Yeah, because one of the things I like to do on this stream is take a look at some of the movie poster art.
Yeah, what I like about Nosferatu... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Real quick. I like that. Too much. He looks like a fucking rat. You know what I mean? He's not sexy. He's like Radu from fucking, you know. Well, he's the OG, but I mean Radu is more like him. But he looks like a rat, and then there's the rats right there. And I don't know. I just like the whole concept visually of, you know, his manifestation. And,
right.
there's a lot you could do in Nosferatu, bro. Like,
Oh my God.
so much. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yes.
I know it's Bram Stoker's, but dude, there's a lot. Like, I'd love to see them remake it again, like even 10 more times.
Well, here's the thing. Dracula doesn't belong to Bram Stoker any more than Frankenstein belongs to Mary Shelley. There's a certain point where fictitious characters, transcend whatever medium they're in, and they become myth.
An entity and a myth. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Dracula and Frankenstein, that's mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the culture that we have today, characters like Superman and Batman, that's mythology. That's being made now. So Nosferatu, that belongs to the world.
Yeah.
And the same way that Dracula belongs to the world. But I just wanted to point out about this poster I just especially love how the rats are leaping out of the coffin.
Yeah.
It's like they can't wait to get out of there. Yeah. Yes.
I think your mic might be a little loud still, brother.
Is it? I was gonna move it away from my face. How's that?
Still kind of loud.
Still kind.
Yeah, when you talk soft, it sounds perfect, and then when you talk a little louder, then it goes up over the level or whatever.
Do you know what it is? I have my father's voice. And my father was a guy that when he would laugh, he would shake the room.
Oh,
and I'm also a little bit hearing impaired from going to way too many hardcore punk shows when I was a kid, and leaving, and the next day hearing ee.
Yeah.
But thank you for making me aware of that, because sometimes I'll be at a party and people are like, "Dude, why are you shouting?" Okay, so Nosferatu, of course, is the perfect example of a movement that was known as German Expressionism, which started in painting and made its way into film. What I love about these posters is that they are very much representative of the German Expressionist art movement at the time. Let's see if we get another one here.
Yeah, those are cool. I was going to add real quickly too. I know Robert Eggers. He's one of my favorite modern filmmakers. He did like The Witch. And
yeah.
And his new movie is called The Northman, and it comes out like next month. He's so good. But he wants to make. He's only like 35 or 36 too. He's pretty young.
Damn.
But, he wanted to remake Nosferatu, and he still might. Like he's got like a script, and they're talking about it. They almost did it, but if he did, that would be awesome. I'm sure he's aware that it's the 100-year anniversary.
Yes. This year. Yeah, it is. And 100 years of Nosferatu. Speaking of posters, this is one that I saw that for the Herzog film that I just absolutely love.
Yeah, I love this. Oh, dude, I love there's so many Dracula movies. I love Dracula. He's like my favorite fictional character.
Know this.
Going like this movie, just they really put you in the Carpathians. I guess that's the best way to put it. More than I've seen it that I could think of. Especially when you're like that picture. You're looking at those mountains, and I feel like I'm in the fucking Carpathians right here. And I think that has to deal with what you were saying about like the message behind the stream about this movie in particular is what it does. It sets things up, and it builds the mood.
Yeah, it's very eerie and atmospheric. It's a kind of film where I don't know if I'd recommend it to the general public. This is very much art house horror. Yeah. I could see where people would think that this is slow. I wouldn't say it's slow. I would say that it's deliberately paced. And it's all about building mood and atmosphere.
A little doom and sludgy. That's how I put it.
Yes. That's perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Matt, to put things in metal terms.
Do you see the on that poster, those two frames at the bottom? Those are from the movie. And I recreated those frames in the comic, and I haven't shared.
No.
Oh, snap.
So it's like, it's just simple. I just kind of took it from either, I watched both movies and read the novel, but then do you see my screen share, Brian? Can you pop it up?
Let me see it. Yeah, let me see about that.
Yeah, there. So that's her sitting on the
Nice.
bench. It's like, you
Dope.
know, so that's one of the moments. And here, let me. While I got you guys, oh, you were saying it's kind of slow, which I agree with, and it's like that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is, and like it's like it's kind of hypnotizes you, and it's fun. You can get in that mode, and then it's really entertaining, but it is slow. And I was like, this is one interesting thing about adapting it as a comic is it's no longer slow. People read it fast, like, but it's the whole story in 68 pages or something, and it might take less than an hour to read, and then you got the whole story. So that in some ways, I hope that it's gonna kind of be a little more accessible, and it might introduce people to the movies like reverse engineered. Like you read the comic first. I think the order I saw things was I saw Werner Herzog's movie first, really liked it. Then I saw the silent film. Then I read the novel, and so I kind of worked back chronologically in that case too. But yeah.
I was gonna ask you, like, what was your first experience with Nosferatu? It was the Herzog film.
I think so. Yeah, and because it was a buddy recommended it to me, and he was talking about Klaus Kinski. I saw a few Herzog movies in that era. All like you were saying, the Aguirre Wrath of God one, and I really like that one too. And yeah, Nosferatu, it is good. We can talk about it later, but I've seen it a handful of times now, and I watched it last night, and I was like, there's almost some things I could like critique it or whatever if we want to like do that. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, but let me show you. Let me see. Yeah, I have we'll do a preview of the trailer, which is only 40 seconds, but I'll show because I have a little animation in it. So it's
rock and roll.
Hold on.
And let me just also mention, I love your art because there's something that's so simplistic to it, and yet it's evocative.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. And this project, it started as I was working on Earthbound and Foreign Agent, and I kind of was like, I want to work on something where I don't have to write it. And I was like, well, maybe I could adapt a silent film. And so then I was like, well, what's my favorite silent film? And I was like, Nosferatu. So then I started like trying to do that. And there was a couple different iterations of me kind of attempting that. And then it did get a little traction, and I just kept chipping away at it. And then it was done one day. And then I was like, oh crap, it's almost done. And it's almost the 100-year anniversary. So it's like fate kind of.
Yep.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you. So want to throw up my screen and I'll show you guys the trailer.
Absolutely. Let's see. All right.
Okay.
Zevigal.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice,
awesome,
man. Nice.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Thanks.
I just signed up for it, man. I'm definitely gonna back the fuck out of this book.
Serious? Oh, yeah. Do you have like the sign up link by any chance? I can put that in the chat. Arrogant Ape, by the way, thank you for showing up. He says, "Man, I'd never heard of Herzog's Nosferatu." Yeah. And it's free on YouTube. Watching tonight.
This is something I was going to talk about too. Is you mentioned it's on Tubi. I've only recently discovered this too, but I like Tubi. They have a lot of weird free movies, and I noticed a lot of it's the ones that are free on YouTube also, because that was my discovery like a year ago. I was like, YouTube has some free movies. Like these are movies that fall through the cracks. You're like, what are these weird movies? Like a lot of Werner Herzog's movies are on there. A lot of Italian Westerns, a lot of Italian horror films.
Yeah.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And I was like, dude, I love these. All of Peter Jackson's early movies are free on YouTube. And they're also free on Tubi. So I'm like, Tubi is doing the good work by getting these weird movies just on a regular old streaming service.
That's what I'm saying. And like most people don't even know what Tubi is. And I'm like, oh my God, there's like a wealth of stuff on there. most of the movies that we cover, usually the links are either from YouTube or Tubi. 90% of the time, really, I'd say 99% of the time so far, it's always been Tubi links.
Yeah.
And what I love is that the movies are unedited. So there's commercials, not a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's 20 minutes of commercials or something like that. It's like maybe like 5 minutes at the most. And the movies are uncut. So, folks, enjoy this while we got it.
Yeah, right.
Because this is too good to last, man.
I would pay for it. I would still pay for it with commercials and everything.
Oh, for sure.
$5 a month. Oh man, I love this Tubi, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. And but yeah, Matt, one of the reasons I also chose this movie, aside from the fact that we needed a palate cleanser after New York Ripper, which is a absolutely outrageous piece of film. But sometimes, you want as I said last week, sometimes you want filet mignon, sometimes you want a rancid pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray.
Yeah.
Let me see if we could take a look at another one of the posters here. There's another one.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
Is that beautiful?
That's one of the first images I've ever seen of Nosferatu, because I got the Francis Ford Coppola making of Bram Stoker's Dracula back in 1994. I still have it, and that poster was in there, and then the scene. There was a nice shot of Nosferatu on the Demeter looking down with his claw hand out.
Oh yeah.
That claw hand, man. I think that claw hand, the claw hand. I think it really influenced a lot of different things in our subculture or in our culture, dude. I can't really think of like that image. I don't know. Maybe even Freddy, bro. Like, there's.
Oh yeah, good point.
It's a very good point.
It's just so iconic, and it's so stealth to our psyche of pop culture, horror, and whatnot.
It is. I mean, I first came across Nosferatu when I was a little boy, and I saw those images of Max Schreck, and I was simultaneously petrified and fascinated.
I couldn't look at it for too long. Like I see Bram Stoker's as too young as a kid, but even looking at the book, the making of that movie, I would come upon this page and be kind of scared a little bit, like like a little bitch. And I was in like fucking 4th grade or something. I'm like, fuck that page, real quick. Like he was. That's how Nosferatu was to me. He was scary. Because Dracula's sexy. Nosferatu's a fucking monster.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's a fucking rat.
This is a vampire that could never pass for human.
Mm-mm.
Okay? He's not going to any fancy parties. He's not mixing with Victorian high society. He is an absolute coffin worm.
Yeah.
A creature of the night. One of the things that I love about this poster too is that it shows the original subtitle, which is Eine Symphonie des Grauens, which means a symphony of shadows. And the Herzog version is called Nosferatu the Vampire, but it's also known as Nosferatu Phantom der Nacht, which is to say Phantom of the Night. In fact, I think that the American version is Nosferatu the Vampire, and I think the German version is Phantom of the Night.
Oh.
Yeah. Although I could possibly be wrong about that.
The rats jumping right there. Sorry.
Yes. No, that's cool. Look. Please, I talk way too much. You guys want to jump in at any point, please let me know. You mentioned the Carpathians. It was actually Slovakia where they shot those scenes. So it's Slovakia that's standing in for the Carpathians, and then for the German town of Visburg, it's shot in the Netherlands, also formerly known as Holland. Because you've got this absolutely. Let me see if I can find a suitable image of it. You've got this absolutely beautiful looking town, a harbor town.
That scene, and fucking, I like how they show Renfield, bro. I like how in that movie, I can't in recent memory think of anything from Dracula where they show Renfield from the get. He's always in the, he's always in the cell already, but he's never like, like I got some shit. I know some shit, dude. Hey, you want to go? You sure? Okay. Like he sends him off.
Roland Topor is the comedy relief in this film. Because let's face it, this is a very, very dark, brooding, ominous, brooding German opera style horror movie. And it needed a little bit of levity, and Roland Topor definitely delivered that. Herzog had seen him on French television, and he had heard him laugh. Like, he would do this little routine, and then he would laugh. He would giggle at the end. And then he was like, that guy's going to be my Renfield. And, oh, God, let me see if I can find it, because I absolutely love this shot here. Let's see if we can make that out. This is after Count Orlok. This is after Dracula arrives. He's like, oh, the master has come. And here he's like rubbing against him like a cat.
That's a meme, bro. That's a meme. Like you could do that thing is like could do so much with that.
Absolutely love that moment. Yeah, it's classic. Wonderful stuff. The castles are all authentic.
Love it.
Right? That's something that was also in the Subspecies movies. They went to Romania and had all these incredible locations that look 100 times better and 100 times more authentic than any set you could possibly build. And all the stuff is just right there. The reason they shot the scenes that were supposed to be set in Visburg in the Netherlands is because it's this absolutely beautifully, perfectly preserved old town. And there aren't a lot of those left in Germany because Germany got bombed a lot. And, oh yeah, here's a Japanese poster that I really like.
That's dope.
Oh, wow. It's cool.
I like all these posters. I would totally wear them all on T-shirts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, one of them on the beach too. I recreated that in the comic.
Oh, dope.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Nice. So this isn't just an adaptation of the Murnau film. This is also an adaptation of the Herzog film.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's like I have a page in the sketchbook where I call it like a mixtape, where there's a couple panels from the Herzog thing. That's another, like, a little bit of an advantage is, like, if you're gonna do this, it's a good idea if you have like almost like if you do have little critiques, because you'd be like, well, if I did it, I would change a few things, and so then you can actually bring something to it. So part of what all I didn't really change that much at all, but it was just being able to mix them together was kind of part of the fun.
Yeah, that's dope.
I think the Herzog one, I think I remember it having a little more. I really like how halfway through the main character changes and then it's the girl. And the old one does that too, but I kind of remember feeling it more with the Herzog one. And that was kind of the main thing that made me like the story, is how it's this weird kind of story structure that's not really, I don't see it anywhere else, but it still totally works. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's unusual, but it is a kind of story structure that you do sometimes see in horror films, right? Like in Psycho, for instance, or Horror Hotel, where you're following who you believe is the main character, and then they get whacked like 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Now here, it's not that that Jonathan Harker, played by Bruno Ganz, gets wasted. It's that the focus switches. And we occasionally check in with him because, of course, he's, escaped from Dracula's castle and he's taken ill. And, like as in the Stoker novel, the focus is very much on Mina. And I always felt that in the novel, that was the really weak part of Dracula, was that you're basically just like following Mina as she's sort of learning how to become a writer. That's how one of my friends described it. It's like Mina Harker's learning to write, and it was just like, yeah, because of course those parts of the novel are done in the form of letters.
Yeah.
So it would be basically the literary equivalent of, your found footage horror movie.
That was pretty gangster
Oh, yeah.
for the time.
Yeah.
That whole like concept of telling the story that way.
It was, but
That was
you know
OG.
what? It was, but it doesn't work. That's one of the things that drives me crazy
it's
about
hard.
that novel, is that, my God. But then you get to the parts that are unforgettable, like The Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. They were gonna
Yeah.
make a movie of that with Viggo Mortensen at one point.
Yes.
With Dracula on there.
Yes, and I think it was Neil Stevens, I think, who did The Descent and War Dogs,
Marshall.
and Neil Marshall, yes, and also did the new Hellboy movie, which he claims no responsibility for because he says the producers were actively thwarting him while he was making that picture, which is kind of a piece of crap, unfortunately. But I do think he had his heart in the right place. Now, Bruno Ganz, you might not recognize him. Now, here, of course, we see him. He's riding into the Carpathians. He runs into this gypsy camp. I believe this scene was shot in Czechoslovakia. You've got these beautiful ancient forests with the mists and everything. Everything just looks so authentic. And, of course, a lot of it looks authentic because it is authentic. You'll notice how small all of the interiors are, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're creating a set in a movie, you want to make the set as spacious as you can make it so you can move the camera around. But these scenes were shot on absolutely authentic locations. And if you don't recognize Bruno Ganz, he's a very famous German actor. If you're like a fan of cinema, you probably know him best from Wim Wenders' Wings of Desire. If you are not a cinephile, you probably know him best from the infamous Hitler meme, right?
Yeah,
which is
that's
taken from The Downfall.
I knew I knew that fool. Yeah. He looked familiar. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, the movie that lost 1,000 memes.
Yeah, he's grown on me, and I've seen him in just one other movie, and I was like, "Oh, it's from guy from NOSFERATU." I like him. You know who he kind of reminds me of? Modern version of him is the guy who plays the bad guy in No Country for Old Men.
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, he looks
totally.
like Javier Bardem kind of to me.
Yeah, it does.
If you haven't seen Wings of Desire, I highly recommend that. That's a classic. Here he is chilling with the gypsy camp, and naturally
these frames look like paintings. I think he did that on purpose somehow.
Yes.
Awesome, but
yeah. I don't know if Herzog started as a painter, but his style is very similar to Peter Greenaway. He's a guy who did start as a painter, and whose films are very painterly. And a lot of great filmmakers, Scorsese does this quite a bit in The Last Temptation of Christ, where he takes these classic paintings and recreates them. Probably the painting that we see recreated the most on screen has to be The Last Supper.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in comedies, you see The Last Supper a lot.
You know what else I like about this Harker? Like right when I was watching it, stupid as fuck. But you know what I like?
Mm-hmm.
I like his coat. I like that coat. All the flocking. He had like 3 flocks.
Yes.
I was like, oh, look at that coat. I don't know. Sorry. But
dude. I love that stuff.
About it looking like paintings, and I don't know if you'd even say like specifically like Renaissance paintings or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the things he does, I think this is the right word. It's called diffuse lighting, and that's where the light trails off. Instead of being sharp, it's very like soft, and it's like almost like it like frames the whole frame kind of where, and painting is a lot like that because they'll build up the interest where they want it, and then the underpainting comes through wherever they don't want the interest, and that's diffuse lighting simulates that really well. You can get that look.
And one of the things that's beautiful about the lighting in this is the scenes aren't lit by candlelight, but boy, they look like it.
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of shadow, and that naturally adds to the atmosphere, the overall atmosphere of the film. Yeah, here he is making his way to Dracula's castle across the where it's supposed to be the Carpathian Mountains. Absolutely beautiful nature shots. Once again, Herzog, not very fond of nature, sees it as very, very alien and inhospitable. Although they really...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Let's say that part where he was sitting right there on the rocks and you see the smoke. I felt like the director would he kept that one. He felt like that one was part of it too. He was like, yeah, he kept it there, and he was just like, no, you're here.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're not watching it. You're here. That's how I felt when I was watching that scene. It was weird.
Well, that's the thing about Herzog, and you get this in Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and you get this in Fitzcarraldo. You feel like you're there. These feel like real places. So although he's not in the Carpathian Mountains, he's in the Slovakian mountains, and that works just fine.
Oh, for sure.
And, a perfect stand-in. Really just incredible locations in this. And finally, of course, there's a scene with the coachman. It's not Dracula, unfortunately, because I always love that scene in the original Nosferatu, where he's dressed up as a coachman and he's got the collar up and everything, and you see the tufts of fur, coming from behind his ears.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I find really interesting about the original Nosferatu, is I remember watching that with an audience in a theater in college. And there was a lot of laughter in the scenes where Count Orlok is running around with his coffin.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I was going to touch on that later or whenever, but I was just like, that's one thing that separates this from Bram Stoker's, or, he's just taking the shit and loading it himself. He's just a badass. You know what I mean? And that's like the one scene where you're like, dude, this was badass. You know what I mean? And in both movies, he's doing that,
Yes.
And he's just brutal, just throwing it in there, and then it drives off by itself. There's no, he usually has Turks, I think, working for him at his house.
Gypsies, I believe.
Gypsies, sorry.
Romani, I believe.
Romani,
yes.
Gypsies. And, there was nothing there in either movies. So he telepathically, drove the coach off, or the.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are talking about Dracula here. One of the things that I love about some of the role-playing game adaptations, like Ravenloft being the classic one for Dungeons & Dragons, is one of Dracula's spells is Create Feast. Right? So he can just kind of summon all this food.
Oh, yeah.
And it does seem to come out of nowhere.
You know what's crazy about Dracula? Again, sidetrack, sort of. That people are really expanding on now, that they never did over the last however many, 100 years. He went to fucking wizard school and got trained by Satan.
Is that in the novel?
That's canon.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Read it. Exactly. You got to go back and read it though. Straight up.
Interesting.
Yeah, someone told me that in an email the other day. They're like, hey, if you're talking about Nosferatu, you need to know about this, blah, blah, blah.
It's just tight as fuck, dude.
See,
like Vlad the Impaler. Like I see brutal, for me, Dracula's always Vlad the Impaler. I'm sorry. Then he goes there and he becomes,
Yeah. Brian, can I show you guys one more page?
No. Of course, dude. Please. Yeah, show everything.
Because I want to read that shit.
Yeah, me too, brother.
I'm pumped.
Here's where the ship drifts in, and he runs off carrying the coffin. So it's like that scene,
Nice.
Oh yeah, I'm loving this, man.
Looking at the moon and stuff.
You got a hit right here, bro.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you do it, because it looks, your style, it's very childlike, right? It looks like a little kid that's scrawling, and yet at the same time it's done in such a deliberate way that it creates this really evocative effect.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
love it. I read your short story. I think it was a Graveyard Ship for Lilith. That
Oh
was a
yeah.
fucking badass story, bro.
Oh,
Really,
thanks.
really, and it was short too, and it really got me in there. I really liked it, man.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Good
Yeah,
horror.
I was said it came up. It comes up with like Earthbound, and my line is that it's like you could have a panel of art and a certain art style, and that's one thing, and then it's a little different if it's a whole book of that art style. Because a lot of my books, the art style can almost grow on you, and then also you can kind of start to think in that art style, even like if once you're pulled into the book or whatever. So it can almost be more immersive in some ways, but it has to be like a lot of it over and over again and pretty consistent. And then you can get away with it, but not always just showing like necessarily one panel. People be like, I'll take my Jim Lee or whatever. But
no, your art, dude. You're badass, bro. And
yeah,
it's awesome.
Thanks.
I love it. And within like 3 panels, you kind of get your style and get who you are, and you're your own monster, and you're gonna be fucking remembered for that, dude. Like
you
I can't wait for this book.
You are definitely one of the unique talents of Comicsgate. That's for damn sure. Your stuff doesn't look like anybody else's.
No.
And it does, like once again, I keep bringing it up, that there's something very childlike about it. And I think of like some of the painters, people like Picasso, where some of their work looks like it was by a kid, but then you look at it and you're like, that's not by a kid. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, this is so deliberate.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, it's beautiful work, man. It's really exceptional, and I can't wait to read this book. When are you launching?
Sunday.
Coming
up. I got almost everything ready. Yeah, I'm excited. I've completely fulfilled Earthbound 2 except for the shirts. So like if anyone's listening, you haven't got your shirt yet, you will be getting it. I'm just in that process of getting those out. Then I'm totally done with that. And yeah.
Are you gonna do a shirt for this, Norwal?
No, but I want to do just real quick. Let me talk about shirts. So with Earthbound, I kind of figured out from scratch the screen printing process, and it was so fun and rewarding. And I was like, I'm going to offer a screen printed shirt for Earthbound. And it's simple. It's just the logo on a black shirt. But I learned a lot, as you do anytime you first attempt something. First thing I learned is keep in mind with shirts, everyone is going to need a different size. So it's like a lot of inventory and a lot of like navigating all that and juggling it and having it all ready. And it was almost too much, more than it was worth, more trouble than it was worth. But now after I've almost done with it, I'm like, maybe I could do it again. But the other thing is, it is kind of a lot of work. So you got to charge a little more. But then I bought kind of cheap shirts this time, basically like the cheapest you can get, just regular black tees. And I was like, I think it honestly would be better to even maybe charge a little more and have the shirt be really nice that people would really like wearing, that feels really comfortable.
For she's.
I know for sure, like myself, if a shirt's not like 100% cotton, it's like I don't want it.
Yeah.
And places that sell, like, that's one of the things I love about Fright Rags. All their stuff is like 100% cotton shirts, because you want to make sure that, like you said, that it's something that people are going to actually enjoy wearing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my new idea, is like eventually in the summer, I might do one more shirt campaign. Maybe it'll just be one small little shirt campaign and that's it. And I'll have it kind of ready before I go, have everything set up. And the design might be a little more complex, not just the Earthbound logo, maybe something a little like extra cool. And the shirts will be extra comfortable, and it'll be maybe just a little more expensive even, but that's fine. I think it's yeah.
Without a doubt. One of the things I definitely have to point out in this movie, one of my absolute favorite moments, I think you guys might remember this bit, where Bruno Gans, Jonathan Harker, is sitting down, and he's more than a little creeped out by his host.
Oh, for sure.
And suddenly he hears a chime, and we get this wonderful shot of an authentic German glockenspiel.
Is that from the Black Forest?
I can't say it's from the Black Forest. Germany's a big country. There's lots of different parts. It's not all the Black Forest, but yeah, this is an incredible. Glockenspiel is like a musical clock, right? Like the cuckoo clock, except this one is metal.
Yeah, it is.
Right? There's a skull on top, which you can. Here, let me blow this up because I'm sorry. This is just so metal, right? There's an actual skull on the top. It pops open. A skeletal figure pops out of the skull. You hear the chimes, ding, 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 and you see these little doors. And check them out. They open. And then out comes this little skeletal figure with a scythe, obviously meant to be death, and he goes around into the other pocket, and the door is closed, and then the top of the skull, boom, drops with this hollow clock, right? And that's like a wonderful image because what is the point of this? It's basically to say, oh, you're 1 hour closer to death, right? Yeah. This is the German mind in a nutshell. Okay. Hey, look, I'm German. I can snap on the Germans all I want. You want to know what's going on inside like the collective conscious of German people? It's this. Okay.
Yeah.
We're very predisposed towards depression and other mood disorders. Oh, here are some vaulted ceilings.
Love it.
Yeah, beautiful Gothic architecture. So you've got this castle, and once again, it's not this huge thing; it's the small thing. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in an actual castle before.
No.
But in Germany, there are quite a bit. If you go up the Rhine, for instance, there's castles all over the place, right?
The best. They have the best like castles, like fantasy castles in the world I've seen.
Well, they have the greatest, which is Neuschwanstein, which was created by the Mad King Ludwig II. And there's a movie. He actually bankrupted the country building that thing. And everything is finished except for the throne.
Damn.
And that's the Neuschwanstein is the castle that the Disney castle is based on. Yeah, because Ludwig II was like, Germany was at a crossroads where it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to be militaristic, or are we going to just focus on art? And Ludwig II was like, Germany is going to conquer the world with opera and literature and culture. And the military powers were like, yeah, that's not going to work for us, so they drowned him.
We got a pretty cool comment by Arrogant Ape right there.
Oh, let me post that. You know that theory stating the only reason stars shine is so that our eyes could see them today? I feel like NOSFERATU was only made so Narwhal could adapt it. Perfect fit. Oh. There's a compliment.
Thanks, Arrogant Ape. Arrogant Ape backs all my stuff. He's a Narwhal completionist.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I forget if I've backed any of your stuff. I don't think I have. I apologize for that, Narwhal. I can't back everything. I just filled my first loan box full of skate bugs. I'm going to be all over this, though. Like sticky on rice, that's for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a little curious. I'm kind of optimistic. It's getting a good response, and it's what with like a gallery and a little short comic at the end. It'll be like 80 pages. My books usually are like 120, so it's a little short for an Narwhal book, but 80 pages, and it's black and white. So I'm like, I can charge $20 pretty easy. So it'll be a little cheaper than what people sometimes picture for CG books is 25.
You had an image of NOSFERATU, like the actual creature, Count Orlok or Dracula, looked fucking badass, dude. And I was just like, damn. I don't know where I seen it. I seen it on Twitter, or I don't know if Ethan posted it or some shit on a show. But I was just like, damn, that would look fucking badass as a T-shirt.
Do you know the image? Do you know the image he's talking about, Narwhal?
I don't know. I mean,
no, but yeah, I'll think about what iconic imagery I have, and if I could do a T-shirt, maybe.
I think it was a profile shot, from my understanding, and he looks tall, and oh man, I was just like, that looks fucking sick, dude.
Oh yeah. Is it? Hold on. Let's see if I can. Is it this one? I'll share my screen again.
I have it in my head, so I have something in my head. If I see it, I would know.
Brian, can you throw this one up real quick?
I love this scene.
Absolutely. Ooh.
Is it that one?
That's very Beauty and the Beast, isn't it?
Yeah.
It might be that one.
Your reaction seems like maybe it's not. Hold on, there's one more. Let me see if I can guess here.
I'm a little on the fence.
I like that though.
Yeah, it's tight as fuck. That would look badass on a shirt, black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had like a strong, like I said, a strong Beauty and the Beast vibe to it.
Yeah, it did.
It could be this one, maybe too.
Oh, I should also mention Kinski. As much as he could be a pill, if he was working with a actress and they were distressed in some way, he would behave himself beautifully.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh?
because it was very much a Beauty and the Beast relationship between him and Isabella Johnny. He become there was something about women in distress, co-stars in distress, where he would become very sort of protective and nurturing, and that's largely what happened with his scenes with the Johnny. Not that they have a lot, but the scene that they do have together is quite memorable.
Nice.
Okay,
Brian, can you throw? Oh, here's this one.
Yeah,
That's it. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. All right, I'll include that one at least in the
Damn,
gallery.
bro, you fucking captured the rat, dude. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's like got the rat, the hunch, some of that diffuse lighting kind of thing where it just trails off. And
Yeah,
this looks funny because
that's a shirt, brother. Sorry, but that's a shirt.
I think this took me, like 20 minutes to draw or something, pretty fast.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It could take you 20 minutes or 20 days. That shit's fucking badass. And
yeah,
I love it. It's a shirt.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Thanks.
Fucking metal. I rocked the shit out of it.
That's really cool. I love that, man. Damn. This is, folks, this is, you gotta back this for sure, man. Oh, damn. Yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. Here's, of course, that beautiful image of Mina waiting for Jonathan on the beach. And there's a cemetery on the beach, which seems completely improbable, but boy, it's a very memorable image, isn't it?
It's Mignola. Yeah. It's like Mignola-esque. I love it though, dude. I don't give a fuck. Like, oh, I love that image. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. And then of course we have the Voyage of the Demeter.
Like that shot too, where that's like Herzog's shot of like that's his scene. I don't know how to put it in words, but
it's taken from the original film.
Taken from the original film, but he's doing his own thing right there. The actor, he's not doing the same thing that Shrek was doing with the body movement.
Not at all. Not at all. And here we have Roland Topor. The Meister ist kommen.
If you guys were gonna make Nosferatu or Bram Stoker's, who would you cast as Renfield? This is awesome question, Ian.
Oh, wow. I would have to think about that. Who are you thinking? I bet you've got somebody perfect in mind.
I don't. I mean, I have someone easy, but I can't think. I'd have to think about it. That's why I want you guys to say it so I can think.
Wow. Who would I cast as Renfield? That would be interesting. It would be, oh, wow.
Maybe if you did like the thing
Paul Giamatti?
Yeah, that'd be good. If you do the thing where they're in makeup, kind of where they're not exactly themselves, then Jared Leto could work for Renfield.
Yeah, he's perfect.
I'm not.
I don't even know, dude. You got me stumped. You know who I thought. Who's the go-to? Who's the go-to?
The go-to.
Who's the gut feeling you go to for that character?
Well, first of all, you want to think like who's great at playing tweaked.
Who's the go-to? Who's the go-to for that?
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
No. We don't want to say it because it's so obvious.
Say it then. It's obvious to me.
Gary the fuck Oldman.
Oh, so then he would be like, oh, wow, yeah.
But no, because he's already done it. It's like he's already there.
Right. And then he could be in that same club as Kinski.
Yeah, right. The Clint.
But then Kinski wouldn't be the only actor who played both Redfield and Dracula. So it'd be kind of a dick move on his part of the director, is taking that away from Klaus. Yeah, and also, like, you look at the makeup, right?
Yeah.
The makeup is, now, he had to sit in a chair for 4 hours every day. Now, imagine your job is to put makeup on Klaus Kinski for 4 hours every day.
Fuck that.
He was, fortunately, it was a Japanese makeup artist, actually, who did the makeup on this. Herzog's crews have always been very international. And, you know, at the end of every day of shooting, he would just rip all the appliances off. And so they would have to manufacture, you know, new ears. They couldn't really reuse any of that stuff. But the makeup, there's not a lot of it, right? He looks way more human than Max Schreck's Count Orlok. But I always felt that, you know, it was like, okay, Klaus is already kind of like a little freaky and scary looking. Like, he didn't need that much makeup. And, you know, not that I would necessarily, well, I don't know, he was a funky looking dude. It's funny because his daughter Nastasia Kinski, you know, had very much the same features, except she was smoking hot. It's like, how does that happen?
Dude, like, okay, like my favorite scene in the Herzog movie is a scene with Harker and him. You know, he's just sitting there staring at him the whole time, right?
Yes.
That's like that. Oh, dude. And I'm just like, dude, okay, like, and I imagine, like, if I was sitting in there with that motherfucker and he was just staring at me, like, it would I think he's a vampire?
Yeah, I would excuse myself. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go outside and rock a piss. Like, oh no, well, you can just use a toilet here. No, I'd rather go outside. Oh God. So, interesting little bit of trivia too. Well, first of all, here's the town that's supposed to be Visburg. This is not in Germany. Like I said, there were places like this in Germany. They all got flattened during the war, and this was shot in the Netherlands. Just an absolutely gorgeous location. So then he moves into what is I don't think it's not Carfax Abbey, but it's like the equivalent. But little thing with the rats.
Yeah.
When they're this is very much Herzog in his own element. The rats bring a plague. And so Dracula isn't just a harbinger of death for specific characters, right? Because Isabella Johnny's character, Mina, she's having these horrifying visions before Jonathan even sets out. She begs him not to go. She has a bad feeling.
Yeah.
And so when Dracula arrives, he brings death with him, like en masse. The rats were lab rats, and they dyed them gray, but then they had a problem because rats are actually very clean animals. And so, like a lot of rodents, they just always like, cleaning themselves. They licked all of the dye off. And so they ended up white again. Yeah. And so, yeah. I just love the scene, too, where Mina's walking through the town. And, it's basically the apocalypse for these people. They, they're having a feast and everything. They know that they're going to die. And so they're like, well, if we're going to die, let's go out partying and celebrate life while we can. And that's very Herzogian. This is a movie where the director is so present. And I think that's one of the reasons why Dracula has been remade so many times and why it's a story that keeps being retold. It's so simple that it's open to endless interpretations. And every artist can take it and do their own thing with it. And, that's one of the reasons why, like I said, Dracula ain't going nowhere. He's one of our modern myths.
Yeah, neither is Nosferatu, man.
Neither is Nosferatu. It's such an iconic movie. This is also such an iconic movie. I just love it to bits.
I love that shit.
I know, isn't it great? I just think, and it's so welcome because it's just like, oh my god, like this movie needed like a laugh in it. It's like the one laugh in the movie. I want one of my stuff. It's like rubbing against him. It's like, get off me. Oh, too good. Devil Flyer in the chat. What up? What up? Thank you, folks, so much for tuning in. We're talking about Werner Herzog's remake of Nosferatu. Link below in the description where you can watch it for free because we never cover movies that are behind a paywall. And please also, Narwhal's chilling with us, and he is doing a comic book adaptation of Nosferatu that looks absolutely exceptional. Narwhal, did you want to show any more art?
Yeah, I'll show some. Oh, some of the gallery. I have that up here. So
the whole thing. Show us the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I reached out to some of the artists I work with here and there and had them do some Marvel sketches.
Nice.
And yeah, they're all different, you know. But like, this is so cool. This one is like one of my favorites, maybe. But it'll just go in the book. This one feels like it's kind of has a little bit of a charge to it. This has like, it could go on a wall or something. Like, it feels.
This is also very Beauty and the Beast, but I just love like the use of negative space.
Yeah.
It's wow. It's very it's very expressionistic, like the original Nosferatu posters that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of those. That's fantastic. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I'll keep going. Hold on.
Of course, like with the nudity, this is making me think this is very French. This has like a French feel to it.
Yeah. Here's a kind of cool one from one of my artist buddies too.
Wow.
Kind of almost like UPA style. This one, like cartoon.
Beautiful.
There's two versions. Do you guys have a preference? I don't know. I like this one, but they're both good. But
I like
the original.
Yeah.
I like the black.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's just, you know, I would ask my artist friends. They have a much better eye than I do.
Ooh.
Yeah, here this one.
Dude.
This one's by Alejandro Mirabel. This one kind of cost me a pretty penny, but it was worth it. And this one I think might be the cover for the soft cover.
Wow.
So the plan is I'm still feeling out some of this, but I think there's gonna be a soft cover and a hard cover like I always do. But I'm gonna do the hard cover because I do like when the art styles match or whatever from the interior to exterior, the artist does it. But I was like, if I ever used a cover that wasn't mine, it would have to, if they're still on model, which this is kind of like the Nosferatu in the book that I do. He's tall like this and everything. And but Alejandro was like, you know, such a talent. And so I don't know. I wonder that could help sales too, to just this amazing art for the cover. But
Magnifique.
But then your art's amazing too, Narwhal.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
Thanks.
So
yeah,
no, it doesn't look like anybody else's.
No.
Yeah. I almost have like a brand, and that helps.
Yeah, you are a brand. You're like,
yeah,
like you put your shit on the cover, dude. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how to say it, but
this is
beautiful. Though I love it too.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Here's experimenting, getting a little color on there, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm a black and white stan, right?
Yeah.
I originally wanted to do Six Gun Gorilla in black and white, but at that time, black and white was such a hard sell.
Ooh, look at that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, like to me, that's probably the cover you would normally go with, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd have to reformat it to make it the shape a little bit different, but yeah, I like that kind of thing. This like concept I want to do, but I haven't found like it getting it to work just right yet. But I want to.
You need the bite marks.
Yeah, something like that. But I don't know.
Beautiful.
You need the rat teeth in there, and the two little holes. Just beep.
Yeah.
The rat teeth kind of make more sense too, don't they?
Yeah.
What's that, brother?
I said the rat teeth kind of make more sense too, don't they?
He's the rat, dude. He's the fucking rat, bro.
Yeah.
I love. That's why. I love that. I love that last one you showed too.
Yeah. Dude, can you go back one? I mean, that's cool, but there we go.
Love the costume and the shadows and that's badass.
But once again, these images, I keep getting Beauty and the Beast. So you're taking kind of a different approach to this than doing like a straight adaptation of the film. This feels a little bit like Jean Cocteau.
Well, here's the thing. This is what's kind of funny is I give people, I was like, just do a Nosferatu drawing, or like a poster, like whatever you might want it to be. And they all drew him and her images. That's everyone's go-to. And I didn't stop them. I'm like, if that's the gallery, that's the gallery. And
right.
But I think that's almost like it's like the Herzog poster. It has some of that going on. But that's like the image that everyone thinks of, maybe if they even haven't seen the film or something. And so the gallery is very representative of that. But the story that's just one scene, and the story towards the end where he talks to her in the bathroom. I think it's in both versions. I think.
Oh, that shit was scary. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
The Herzog one. Oh man.
Yeah, it's interesting because the whole deathless love, the whole eternal love thing, that was actually introduced by Richard Matheson in the 1970s. I think it was 75. Dan Curtis version for television. With the one was with Jack Palance, and now that's become part of the myth.
Yeah,
it's unusual that you see an adaptation of Dracula that doesn't have that angle in some ways. So does your version of Nosferatu, does that have that angle? Are you exploring that, or is that just like you said, you ask artists for pieces, you do exactly the same thing I do, brother, which is you do you. Right?
Yeah, good question. So that's something, I just realized I did add a little Beauty and the Beast, maybe even at the very end when he's feeding on her, kind of.
Yeah.
I think I kind of have it where he just kind of has that deal. I thought that was interesting, that I remember it from the Herzog version because I just saw it last night, where he says he kind of says hey, I can cure your husband, but you gotta you gotta fall in love with me or whatever, something like that. I was like, that's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
So I kind of kept that. And then she, rebukes him. So that stuff is in. There's some stuff that in the Herzog film that I think I might have taken it out a little bit, where I think sometimes this is my particular critique of the Herzog film, that's only because I've now seen it 5 times maybe.
Right.
And so it could be a bug or a feature, but Herzog's really philosophical, and some of his philosophy stuff feels fake to me after watching it 5 times. I'm just I don't care. when Nosferatu's there are worse things than death, to being so old and never being able to die, not knowing love. And I'm I don't know. I like a little more. What I focused on a little more was, in my book, is kind of the celestial bodies movement of the sun, how the sun kills him, and the moon doesn't kill him, but the moon reflects the sun's light, and he's so old he doesn't even know what the sun is anymore. He doesn't even know the concept of the sun really, but he does know what the moon is. And
right.
And so I kind of focus more on that stuff.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, there's that scene where he has that little monologue. Time is an abyss, profound as 1,000 nights. Centuries come and go. To be unable to grow old is terrible. Death is not the worst. Can you imagine enduring centuries, experiencing each day the same futilities?
Yeah.
And
goddamn, you got in there.
That's cool. That's word for word. That's
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's good. Yeah, that's because I got it off the Internet Movie Database page. If there's one theme that is consistent in Herzog's work, it's futility.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's his films usually aren't that optimistic. But then again, you look at something like Fitzcarraldo. That's like the only film from this period that he made, I think, that actually ends on an up note. Yeah. Where Fitzcarraldo is, they literally took an opera house on a boat and like dragged it over a mountain, right? Which is completely insane. And this is not a special effect. They actually did this, right?
Yeah.
Herzog being a maniac. And so in the film, it all goes to pieces. And so Fitzcarraldo brings some opera singers in a boat to the town. So it's like he kind of compromises on his dream.
Yeah.
Which is to say, it's like it's the feeling that you get when you're an artist and you want to nail something. It's in your head, and you're trying to put it down on paper or canvas or celluloid or whatever your medium is, and you're not gonna get exactly that. It's all about trying to get as close to that as you possibly can.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, what was it that it's like when people are obsession and futility, those mix well together to make a movie too.
Yes.
And that does, when you say that does fit a lot of his movies. And it's interesting that the obsession and futility from this movie's point of view is from Nosferatu's point of view. And yeah, he is maybe by the end, maybe the main character a little bit more heavy than the girl or Jonathan. Or one other thing too is so in Herzog's version, and I don't remember how it goes in the silent film, but there's a part where he's in the castle the next day writing a letter to his wife, and he's kind of looking around, and he goes into the basement and he finds Nosferatu, and he opens it. And then he kind of stumbles back and leaves. And that part, again, after watching it 5 times, that part annoys me because I'm like, why didn't he stake him? He's right there. Like, maybe he doesn't know he's a vampire or whatever.
Damn, Narwhal said go with that shit.
Yeah, so in my comic, there's like a reason why he can't stake him in that moment. And it's that Nosferatu kind of controls these familiars that, like, if you try to stake him, there's actually like a wolf kind of defending the coffin basically. So he can't do it. So that's like a Narwhal thing, is like I do have like logic things that, and I love some of the ways that this movie's not logical, and in general the Dracula legend, the way his magic works, it's really fun how it's not logical. But that was one that really bugged me, where I was like, why didn't he stab him? Why did he just run? And so
because he's scared out of his wits. Terrifying. That's what I always assumed, right? Because it's one of those situations. Like you like to think you know what you do, but you don't know what you do until you're actually in that situation. I know what I would do. I'd be trying to get the hell out of there fast is what I would be trying to do.
It's weird in the novel too, because he's buried in the boxes. You know what I mean? And that's closer to the scene where he sees him walking or crawling down the wall. But and I was thinking the whole time, where's the wall crawl scene? Again, it's the fucking I'm picking the coffins up and throwing it on the thing.
Oh,
that's what it got subbed in for it.
That's
right. Right. The only Hammer movie that features that wall crawling scene is Scars of Dracula, which is one of the lesser known Hammer Dracula films.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the lesser Hammer Dracula films, but it's still worth watching. It's still got Christopher Lee in it.
Yeah.
And it does have that wall crawling scene, which is just so uncanny and so creepy in the original novel. Now, if I remember correctly, in the novel, Harker is about to stake him, but then Dracula opens his eyes.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for in both movies, and none of it happened. He just like that. I wanted it though. I wanted it. One of the movies. I wanted it, and he looked. But the thing is, for me, in the original silent film, he looks scarier in this part, and he's in. I think he's in wood. I think he's
dude.
And it's just like this much of his face, and he's just like those big fucking eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very scary. Very scary.
Dude, scary as hell, man. Scary as hell. This Dracula is pretty damn spooky looking, but there's never been a vampire that's more terrifying and horrifying than Count Orlok. in Nosferatu. That makeup is so freaky, and like the hump on his back and the way he walks around, everything about him is just unnatural. The term uncanny comes from a German word, which is unheimlich, which literally means unhomey, right? Like, that homey, cozy feeling that you get with certain things, right? Like certain Christmas movies. It's the opposite of that.
Like it makes you a little uncomfortable or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, so, and then the last little thing, this isn't really a critique, I guess I'm just thinking, is I love in this movie his death scene is awesome.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah,
the eyes. I love the fucking eyes.
Yeah. The way he like does the audio, the voice, and
yeah. Let me see if I can find that. I'm pretty sure I got that here somewhere.
Both very good. And again, I would say I can't wait for your book, Narwhal. But I would also like to see a modern movie. I'm sorry. I mean, done right.
Yeah, there he is. His death scene. Yeah.
Like you were talking about the guy that's doing Northman from The Witch, Eggers. Oh man.
Oh, he's terrific. He's terrific.
Perfect for this. Mwah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I can't see why that's not going to happen.
But picture right there, dude. Fuck.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know. I think maybe something like that might not happen because Nosferatu is in the public domain, and studios are all about, IPs.
Farming and stuff.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that's always been so wonderful about horror films is that it's a genre that's thrived in low-budget cinema. Thrived in independent cinema.
How many movies has Nosferatu strictly? How many does he have now? He's got 3 already, dude. He's got 4.
Yes. At least. At least.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then there are people who have written original scores. There's the goth record label Cleopatra put out a version that has all this like goth music on there that doesn't necessarily fit. It's like typo negative and that sort of a thing. And some bands, that I like, but I just don't know that it's not like Frank Black from the Pixies wrote an original score for Der Golem, the Golem, which is really cool. And then there's on the Criterion disc edition of La Belle et la Bête by Cocteau, Beauty and the Beast. That also has a new soundtrack by Phil Glass, I think. So these are works that to this day are still inspiring artists, are still feeding the imaginations of people. You would think that, especially these days, where everything's about like, what's new? We still have this fascination with this movie that's from the 1920s. And that I think that's a testament to its power. Now, both of your opinions. Which do you think is better? Do you think it's the Murnau version, or do you think it's the Herzog version? Because Herzog considers the original Nosferatu the greatest German film ever made, and that's including anything made by him.
That's cool. Yeah, I like Herzog's version a little better, I think.
I do too. Matt, what about you, boy? Oh wait, I think he stepped away. So of course I gotta start asking him questions. All right, man. I think we'll start wrapping this up. Narwhal, is there anything else you want to show us? Anything that you'd like to say about your upcoming project? About Nosferatu?
Yeah, just thanks for having me. It's fun talking movies with you guys. I didn't realize you're so well versed in movie history. I enjoy talking about it too. Maybe I'll come on with you again sometime because I like to hear it. I saw you were saying people were mentioning subspecies. I've never heard of that one, so I have that written down. I want to check it out.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Here's my caveat with subspecies. We did subspecies 2 on this show. And the reason for that is because the original subspecies is so unremarkable. In fact, it's kind of bad that I figured if I ask people to watch that first, they're never going to get to Subspecies 2.
Okay.
Right? And Subspecies 2 and 3 are actually kind of the same movie. They're shot back to back and cut in half. And they're definitely worth a look. I think that you're sure to get a kick out of them, especially since they're shot so heavily influenced by NOSFERATU, but also they're shot in these incredible locations in Romania that are completely authentic. So, like, it's a real, the castle's a real castle, the village is a real village, everything is authentic because they discovered, Charles Band discovered that they could shoot movies there for very, very cheap.
We got to do that.
Do what? Yeah. Shoot a movie in Romania?
Yeah.
Once the cuff is gone, maybe. Once the cuff is gone.
Film gate, yeah, like hopefully. No, it's fine. But for real.
I've got a DM group for the show. I always add, I can add you if you like, and then if you just want to remove yourself, I always say people want to remove themselves. I'm not going to get all butthurt.
Okay. Yeah, add me if possible. Yeah.
All right, man. Cool. Awesome. Dude, this has been a real pleasure. You are one of CG's true innovators and one of our really special creators. And people definitely, sign up when I know I've already asked you this 3 times, but when are you launching again?
Sunday.
Sunday's the day. You guys get there. Fucking NOSFERATU by Narwhal.
Yeah.
100 years after the release of the movie.
On the 100th anniversary.
Oh man.
I know. That's so fortuitous, dude. When you found that out, how happy were you?
Yeah, I was definitely stoked, or almost maybe you lose breath. You're like, oh, that's awesome.
Right?
Okay. Next week, Pops was bugging me because he was just like, let's do Last House on the Left, brother. Okay, so we'll probably do Last House on the Left. That's a rough one. It's the film that put Wes Craven on the map. And it's actually a remake of an Ingmar Bergman film called The Virgin Spring. But it's, whereas with The Virgin Spring, you're talking Ingmar Bergman, there's a lot of evocative imagery and it's very beautifully told. And Last House on the Left is just brutal and dirty and nasty and ugly. And yet it has this very peculiar power to it. So
I'd rewatch that. I've seen it once, and I really appreciate super low budget movies because they're really inspiring creatively too. Because they're like, how did they do this? What did they think? Even for writing? Because you can't have an alien ship come down and whatever and blah blah blah. So it's very interpersonal, or it's sex and violence a lot of the times.
Yes. Well, that was one of the ways that they would get butts into seats and into the drive-ins was, okay, well, we don't have any money, we don't have any movie stars, so let's show you the stuff that you're not going to get in, the big Hollywood movies. And that was sex and violence, right, and nudity and stuff. And, I am such a fan of low-budget horror films. I don't think you can really be a horror fan, a deep horror fan, if you don't love low-budget horror films, or low-budget horror films, because they, especially the Italian ones, man, oh my god, that's, if you're going to put me on a desert island for the rest of my life and be like, you can only watch movies from one country for the rest of your life, I'd be Italy.
Yeah.
Do you want to think about that? No. Best art films, best horror movies, best westerns, and even the best trash and exploitation. Even the garbage is good.
Yeah. Why was that? I don't know.
It was a time and a place, I think, that's gone, and that can be the late '60s up into the early '80s, and you have a lot of people that have been trying to recreate that, but it's gone. But fortunately, they made so much of the stuff that things are still popping up, and a lot of
love the show, man. Brian, you got all these I ain't gonna lie, dude. I haven't seen fucking anything really, and I love horror. but just
That's what I love. That's what I love about doing this with you, dude, is because it's just like I've seen everything and you haven't. So then I can also get like your reaction, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's just like, well, I love this stuff, but, I'm not sure how other people are going to react to it. So,
yeah.
and people are like, oh man, you're like a walking encyclopedia of horror and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, but that's not anything to boast about. It's not something you aspire to. It's something that happens to you.
Right.
That's the best way I could describe it, And it's one thing you're never going to catch me doing is getting pretentious and being like, "What? You haven't seen that, and you call yourself a fan?"
Oh yeah.
It's like this guy, the golden one. I'm not going to get into him too much, but he has this great line where he says, "You call yourself a pagan, and you don't even lift." Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Narwhal Brother, thank you so much for hanging out with us, talking NOSFERATU. Matt, everybody, go back Butch Cleaver 2. The link is down below in the... Oh, you got stuff to show us.
Oh, wow, look at that. That's awesome.
Oh, wow, thanks. Go back. Long Shadow. Long Shadow by Mark Murphy. That's a little piece I did. It's on the campaign. If you guys want to go check it out, it's a pulp graphic novel.
Hold on. I'm trying to blow this up. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Give you some love. It's about it's about an orc detective that solves murders, and he drinks beer. It's kick ass. It's a pulp book, and yeah, man, I can't wait for it. I backed it myself.
I did too.
It's gonna be fucking awesome. So
yes,
if you guys could check it out, I'd really appreciate it. We all like to make comics and sequential art and graphic novels and stuff, and a lot of the stuff, inspiration came from pulps, and so this is what my boy Mike's doing.
Yep.
So it's a little piece I did.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that would be awesome if you guys could check it out.
Yeah. Everybody do go check that out, because I'm hoping, because he hasn't reached his I think he has 6 days left.
Yeah.
And we need to rally the forces of CG and circle the wagons and get this thing to the finish line for sure.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you next week. Stay scared.